Okay, this episode is about rock tumblers. Now, the Lorton is very well known. I've been using them for at least 30 years or better. They were much better quality years ago. I just bought this 2 years ago, and I've had one issue after the other from brand new out of the box. It's a 3-pound. They're rated on how many pounds of rocks you can put in them, and so that's a small. I think that's the small size, 3 pound. And I paid a lot of money for it, $100. And they put. I'll show you the inside. They put these rollers. They changed the design and put the rollers on the same level. Years and years ago, I had tumblers, and one roller would be much higher, so when you put the barrel in there, it's on a better angle and it doesn't bind. So right out of the box, because this is level, and you put the tumbler on, the barrel on there, it was binding and stops. So what I had to do is literally put it back on an angle like this on a 2x4. So it wouldn't bind. Like I say, you have to simulate this one bar. It's not attached to anything, just the barrel turns it. This is the one that's attached to your pulley system here. Okay, there's your motor there. Okay, so to simulate this bar being up higher, so what they're doing, they skimped. You know, they're skipping on the metal. You know, the metals used to be much higher, so they could run these bars up higher. Now the box is so low that it's binding. The other problem, like I say, they put in a cheap O-ring. I don't know where they got these to act as a pulley between here and this makeshift fan. It's supposed to help cool, you know, the motor down. Okay, they put a cheap 3-inch O-ring in there instead of a nice heavy-duty belt. So it snapped. I knew it would. When I took it apart the first time, almost 2 years ago, I said, "Oh, this is not going to last long." It's a cheap 1-cent O-ring. Probably, you know, went on to something else, and they got maybe 1,000 of them for $10 or something. I doubt they paid more than a penny a piece for these. These motors are less than $10. I mean, this whole thing here, they skimped on the metal. Like I say, the housings used to be much higher, so they could run the roller up higher. Now it's too small. And you know, that just goes on there. So what I did, it's a makeshift pulley just for the temporary. You know, I haven't gone onto their site to see if they sell these O-rings. I just got a thick rubber band and I cut it in half. Okay, and then I just ran that rubber band around, and it is working, but it's not going to work. You know, it's not going to last long because rubber bands, you know, they break, you know, after a month or so. And being stressed out like this, you know, it's not going to last long. But anyway, it was $100. Harbor Freight has a 3-pound rock tumbler for $49. So if I can't get these O-rings really cheap from Lorton, I'm just going to get my next one at Harbor Freight Tools. Anyway, I'm out here at Imperial Dam, and they dredged out parts of the Colorado River here, and you'll see cobblestone all over the place out here. This is all dredgings out here. You can just see. Very worn down river rock, a lot of it. So, yeah, that all came out of it was in the Colorado River at one point. And the Colorado River is about 150 yards over that way. Okay, so I'm into rock hounding, obviously. I have been my whole life, really. So here's like some rocks I just picked up in the last couple days walking around. I'm going to spray them just so you can see how they look. Which basically simulates, when you spray them with water, it's going to simulate what they'll look like after they're tumbled. You know, after they've been polished up for 5 weeks is how I do it. Okay, so now and kind of get an idea of some of the rocks I'm finding. And they're gonna look really cool after they've been tumbled for 5 weeks. Some I just picked up because of the colors, like the green and that I liked. There's agate here. There's jasper. You'll see jasper mixed in. So I've seen quite a few people rock hounding here. But anywhere out here you'll find nice rocks. You just have to have patience. There's a whole mess down here. I still, these are too big for this 3-pounder, but they'll all look nice. You know, so eventually I'm going to get to all these. And it's just what I've been finding around here. Actually, I did one set so far. I've done one tumble, 3 pounds of rocks. That's how they look after the 5-week process. There's a ton of these black rocks. They're all over the place. And they basically, before they're tumbled, they look like that there. And after they're tumbled, they come up really nice. It's like a pure black. So that's real common here. I don't know what type of, I've heard they call them Apache tears. And I've seen them in rock shops for $1 a piece. Well, you could fill up a 5-gallon bucket in a couple of days. Here's a nice piece of agate. This is a white, semi-translucent agate I found here, and I tumbled that. I'm going to just put it up to the sun and see what happens. It's semi-translucent. It's just a really nice rock. Kind of looks like quartz, but it isn't. It's white agate. Now, another place, I'll do another episode. There's a place called, Imperial Dam is in California. Now, there's a place south of Blythe. If you're at Quartzsite and you head west into California, there's the town of Blythe. South of there, and I'm thinking it's about 15 miles or so, is the Hauser geode beds. And I went there a year ago, and these are your geodes. They're basically, when you look at the outside of them, they don't look like much. Yeah, these haven't been broken open yet. They're not always going to be round, but when you break them open, then you start getting into all this. And hopefully these will come out. Okay, a lot of colors, a lot of blues, a lot of browns, jasper types. Some are pink. I love the pink ones, pink color. Black. There's another one that's kind of blue with browns in the middle. Real beautiful rocks at Hauser geode beds, they call it. But you better have maps, and you better know what you're doing, how to get there, because you got to go about 7 miles down some dirt roads and make a few rights and lefts, and you can get lost out there. It's out in the middle of nowhere. And this is what's called a thunder egg. You'll see them with these like goosebumps all over them. Usually that's a good sign. You see that? I broke this one open and there was a cavity inside. And some interesting formations. It's like a cave, and with a marble floor. So that was a nice find. Most of the geodes I was finding there were about like golf ball size, but believe it or not, in two and a half days, I found over 200. They're pretty. If you get in the right spot, you can dig a lot of small ones, especially this size, down here. These would be, say, more average size, and the bigger ones, they can get even much bigger than this. But that was just in 2 days, and I just kept some of my favorite ones, and then you put them in a rock garden or whatever, There was gypsum. Gypsum. I forget what they make, what they use gypsum for. I used to know. There's a product they make with gypsum. I don't know if it's a soap or what it is, but I forget now. And then there was another spot, not at Hauser, but I was finding magnetite, big chunks. I was way up the side of a mountain looking for gold, and I got into an area where the actual load of magnetite was coming out. Now, it's one of the things you look for when you're gold panning is, you know, your iron pyrites and your magnetite, your black sands and stuff. Well, this is what it comes from. Big chunks like this, and it gets into the streams, it breaks down. So you can see the magnet on there. So I found some really big pieces of it. You can see it, really very magnetic. That's why they call it magnetite. And this is just a fossil I bought in Quartzsite. They have a big, considered the rock hound capital of the United States, Quartzsite. So if you're in the rocks, they start their shows in, I think, December, January into February. And this was, there's, oh, I think there's over 200 rock dealers, you know, in the wintertime. So it's a cool place to go. And there was one dealer there from Africa. And this is fossilized shells from an inland sea. And what they would do is they'd cut it into a shape of a snail shell. But if you look real close, you'll see snails in there. I don't know if it's focusing well, but so they would cut it out of slabs and then polish it up. And this piece here, they actually cut in slices, and then they would add that, glue that onto this like a nautilus shell type of form. So anyway, that's about it for this episode. And this is Eagle Eric signing off.